special sauce. God damn it, I keep saying the worst things. Special sauce. Don't mind me, just checking my face in the camera. Okay. We left off, got the tube in, and now it's time to build this front plate to mount these 3 bolts. So I'm gonna start off with making my template and then getting my hole locations and cutting the plate out. Let's get to work. It's cold out. I have 3 layers on. I got flannel, sweatshirt, welding jacket, skates garage beanie. Okay, so this is the template. I go ahead and I always make them out of aluminum when I'm doing mounting points, because when you're using the paper, it's kind of difficult to make sure that you have it exactly right. So I made this one out of aluminum, which is good because I was able to see that this hole here is actually a little off. You can see, so I know I need to adjust that. And then my cutout. Now my cutout wasn't perfect on this aluminum either, so you can see it's a little off of the tube when it's bolted up, and we don't want that. It's good on the corners, but we need to make sure that center is a little bit wider, a little bit more material there. So little adjustment to make there, and I think if I widen these holes a little bit it'll help, but yeah, other than that it's gonna look good. Be a cool mount. I like it. So just gotta adjust those, and then I'll probably trace the template on the thicker material, and then I'm debating on if I need to use 3/16 or if I can get away with using the 1/8 inch for this. I gotta find a piece of 1/8 inch to compare. I mean, it's still pretty thick. But as we do that, it's gonna get a little more difficult. So we'll see. I'll probably just do it all out of that material because it's gonna be a little heavier, but I want it to be strong. Then I'll be able to weld all the way around that edge, and I'll have a good weld surface once I tack it in. And yeah, so I'm gonna see if I can get a plate made to match that. The plate up there. Didn't turn out too bad. Sits in there pretty well. There's a little bit of gap right here. I want a little too much, but that's alright. I'll be able to fill all that in. And yeah, we make good contact all the way through here and on this edge. So it'll be good to tack that up. It's just this one little section here. Got a little too much out, but that's alright. We can make up for that stuff when we're welding it. Yeah, looks pretty good. It looks like a huge gap because you got light coming behind it, but it's really not that bad. But yeah, so it's all in there. I mean, everything still has movement in it on the mounting points, so it's not like super tight on any of the bolts except for this back one, which we've had problems with just installing this tube. So yeah, tomorrow I'll get it all tacked in and welded up, and that'll all be done. Got the plate all cleaned up, and it's time to tack her in. I almost forgot about you guys. I started working. But yeah, that's all tacked in, and then we're gonna work back here and get our main hoop in, and it'll be ready to go back onto the jig to do all the little stuff like plating the bar I notched out, and then adding a few plates next to the front mounts. But yeah. got it all welded. Turned out okay. You can kind of see, I guess I'll show you guys my welds. I'm getting better, so I'm getting a little more confident. You can see the difference between having a gap, at least at my skill level, having a gap and then a nice fitting piece. Looked really good through there, and then, yeah, it's not bad though. Yeah, and the back's all welded too. We're all good. So yeah, ready to get that thing back up in there after it cools down and move on to the next thing. Okay, so I was able to get the mount back in, and it looks pretty good. Some of these holes, mounting holes here, I'm going to have to kind of remount a little bit. They're just a little too tight on these bolts. I haven't drilled any of them out, so just go a little bit bigger than the bolt and it should be fine. Everything else looks really good. I was able to bolt this in and then it went right to where it's supposed to. Yeah, holds it in there pretty sturdy. I don't think there should be any issues, especially once we finish these plates back here. Right now it has a little bit of flex. You're able to get a little flex in it because it's just on these control arm tabs, or these toe link tabs. And once I add the plate here and weld this whole surface and then weld it to the plate as well, that's gonna retain it from wanting to have any of that flex in it. It was nice having the flex a little bit of it while I was doing this. But now that this is in position, this will get welded up as is, and should work out good. So definitely doing like this fab work with a bunch of mounting points is a little more difficult than just doing something on your own. But yeah, and what I mean by on my own is like making your own mounting points, because you got to be able to get your mounting points correct and then line them up once you put the plate in there and drill them. And yeah, so other than that, the last thing that we need to do really before we take axle links and then rip everything out is the main hoop in the back, which I've already taken a look at. And I think basically how I'm gonna build it is just 290s from here over and down. I think that'll be good. I don't think I need to get into like doing a 45. I think just the simple 90s is gonna do good, and probably be just as strong as doing a bunch of 45s. Just a little up 45, you know. I think I'll just start with the 90s and see if I like it. I have a little extra tube that I can use of 120 wall, which is going to be perfect for the thickness for keeping this thing strong. Probably overkill, but that's fine. I'd rather it be strong than have issues with the subframe down the road. So yeah, I'm gonna work on getting the measurements for that tube, and then I will bend it and try and get it in place, tacked in. I got the back hoop bent and notched and tacked in, so it just goes up across, connects the subframe again. 120 wall, should be super strong, just since we removed that material. And I think it turned out pretty good. I like it. Not bad. So I went with this over the head to leave the back open as much as possible, because I didn't want to do the whole square tube across. Kind of the thought of it is, yeah, it would protect it more, but all this, yeah, we'll see. Maybe in the future I add more protection back there, but if we get back past this, whole car's gone. I mean, there's not really coming back from that, I feel like. So yeah, we're gonna leave it like that for now, and then I will see what goes on. I mean, this is gonna be a big test, but pretty much what I'm thinking is if we get past all this structure, we're gonna have a lot of issues. I'm not really gonna be too worried about that, but that could save it potentially. That's not kind of a good way to look at it, because if that did happen, it'd be nice to save that new chassis, put it in. But we'll see. Maybe I change it. But for now, that's it. So Tori's going to come out, and we are going to get our measurements for the drive shaft and measurements for the axles, because I have to send those out to get things on the way. And then after that, I will pull the subframe out, put it in my jig, and I will start working on finishing everything up. So fully welding this bar, plates, welding these tabs completely, getting another piece in there, and then finishing up this notch with a little more clearance and plating. And then I'll decide if I want to do a top mount that goes across from that bar there all the way to the front bar. I'm not sure I'm going to do that yet, but we will see.
Something's weird, dude.
Yeah, something's loose.
This doesn't make sense.
Mustangs aren't supposed to be able to do that.
None of our drift cars or any of our other cars have ever been able to do that in the back. That is so rad.
Usually if we see anything like that, we have really big problems.
Yeah, real big problems. Yeah, that looks about right. Probably run it right there.
Yeah, just a little.
Toe it in a little bit?
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
Dude, this is so cool.
Pretty sweet.
Awesome.
So we're about to set it on the ground for the first time. Hopefully it's at the right height.
Yep.
Should be, because we checked the shock stroke, but I mean, things will get adjusted. It doesn't matter too much. And then we'll be able to take our CV axle measurements and send those out.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Drive shaft measured. We're all done there.
All done there. Sway bar measured.
Sway bar measured. There's a slight chance that we could still use that drive shaft. We're going to find out.
Should be able to.
So, lengthwise.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Don't really want to buy a whole
yeah.
right now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
See what it looks like on the ground, I guess.
Awesome.
See if my diff hits the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Wouldn't that suck?
That would suck. No, you'll be fine.
Still lower than the exhaust, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Sweet, dude. Let's do it.
Okay, so we got everything out. We got the subframe, all the suspension, quick change, it's all out, back into the jig. So I'm going to do all my finishing welds on what I have currently, and then I will work on plating the stuff that I notched, and then I'm actually going to plate a few of these end caps too, and this section here, finish this up. So do those few small things, and then it pretty much will be close to done. So I'm gonna get to work. Subframe's upside down. I was able to get everything welded that I had on there. Tabs are all welded. I even welded these inside edges and top edges, and I actually cleaned up those welds I told you guys I was going to clean up. Plates all welded, bar all welded, and then I came back here and I flapper disced all of the existing material from the original diff mounts. Got it all cleaned up, and because I'm going to work on plating this notch out. Had to get that out of the way before I could tack weld anything in here. Cleaned up the holes for mounting the brace, or the mount, this guy. Keeping it out of there for now because I want to be able to reach in here. So this jig is super nice. I mean, I have it flipped upside down right now, but I'm able to really maneuver everything and not have to worry about mounting points changing. It's good. So now I'm going to work on building the plate for this, getting that tacked in, and unfortunately I ran out of TIG gas, so I gotta get some more TIG gas so I can get all this done. Okay, I got the plate in for the notch. Turned out pretty good. It's all just tacked in right now because I want to be able to TIG weld it. So it's in there for now. Hopefully when we go to put it back in, we don't have any clearance issues. I don't think we will because it wasn't all that close to the notch. I finished getting all these mounts welded in with the plates, so everything's all completely solid. And I got the end caps on these two parts. I have yet to do these ones. I need to grind out these welds a little bit and then make the plates fit on both sides, but I lifted the diff up in with the mount in place as well and tightened up. But other than that, the plan is I'm going to work on building my plates across here to the top to the other side, and once I do that, then I will pull everything back out and TIG weld the rest. Yeah, that's why I didn't film the rest of it. Caught my finger right in there like this. It was solid. So yeah, that's why I didn't continue filming that day. So okay, I got the template made here and it fits right in. Needs a little bit of love on this hole here and a little on this notch here, which we'll be able to do with the actual material, but I think that looks pretty good. These holes will obviously, they'll get a little oversized, so it's a little easier to slide the bolts in. Right now it's just between these two that there's a little bit of tension, so I'll work those out so it's nice, easy. Slide the bolts in once you put the diff in, and I'll do this notch by hand. But yeah, I like it so far. And then I'll round this edge here and I'll make sure this is all nice and square to the, it needs a little work on this corner here. Get it real close, and then basically this plate goes over onto this side as well, and then I'll be able to add a piece here and a piece here. That should work pretty good. Okay, so I figured I'd show you guys before I got started on tacking everything in, but I got both plates dialed in on the top and they look pretty good. Got everything cleaned up and we're ready to tack it in. So with these plates, I'm obviously going to need some longer bolts, which I'll get, and that way we get more engagement on the threads. But for now, just going to get these tacked in and then work on doing the braces across. And yeah, turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with these plates. My holes weren't perfect for mounting. I had to kind of ream them out a little bit, but that's all right. It does the job. Seems like such a slow process. Well, it is, but we're getting there. And then eventually we are going to throw this back into the car for now because Tori needs to use the lift. And there's a few small things we need to do back here. We're actually going to have to mount a sway bar, which I think I talked about earlier. And I'm working out all the details of everything I need for doing that. I'm not going to weld the mounts to the back. I think I'm going to try and make it a through bolt type of deal. But we will see as we get going. Now I got to figure out these exhaust hangers. I probably need to just I know I need to take this side out. I probably want to take the rubber off of this one and leave this one because it's actually holding my fuel line tight here. I kind of used it as a double use, so I might leave this one in, but we're gonna have to look at trying to get rid of as much weight as we can back here. And then brake lines are gonna have to get extended out with the dry brake on the outside here, and then an additional line because you can't get back here once the Winners is in there. All right, it's been a couple days. Just getting a couple pieces of metal laser cut, and they are here. So here it is. Got the SG logo cut into the steel for these top braces, and then just a lightened version of a brace for the back here. But yeah, looks pretty good. This is something like you're never ever gonna see when it's in the car. It's completely pointless to have the SG logo there, but I just wanted to do something that was, you know, added a little bit extra sauce to it, and I think it looks good. I like it. It's kind of cool. This one looks good too, just cut out and lightened. But they're oversized a little bit, and I made them that way because I wasn't quite sure where all this was going to end up. So I'm gonna have to shave off the sides a little bit and get it to fit right, and I'm debating on pulling this forward a little and putting a little bend into it so that way I can actually weld against here on this bar. Just add more rigidity to, you know, the whole thing. Okay. Pretty excited about this one. It turned out so good. It looks so sick. Got it fully welded up, and then I tacked this side in and this side in and fit it with the good old maker fit tool, and added a weld across here so that way it was all tied together. And then I actually got the welds in there as far as I could with the diff in, so then when I take it out I should be able to get in there and finish those welds. I kind of forgot about that on these ones, so I might have to make up for that because I want to weld both sides. Might have to make those just because I'm only really probably going to be able to get a gun in there. But that's all right. Oh well. I remembered it on these ones. So yeah, that looks awesome. I'm so pumped about that. And nobody's ever going to see it. Like, you're never going to look underneath the car, under the bumper, and see any of this. But it's just purely, you got to add a little bit of your own flavor to stuff. And just a little, you know, a little something something. And that something makes me very happy. Very excited. So cool. It's the little things, man. Just the little things. And then I also got these caps welded up on both sides. And that was really about it. Oh, and the notch plate back here is all finished welded. You can't really see it. And the only thing you guys didn't get to see me do was wrestle this diff in and out a couple more times after I finished welded everything. Once we got it all back in, things tend to change every once in a while when you're putting a lot of heat to them. It wasn't too bad. It just was getting everything back into the right place, and I just kind of made sure that these holes were a little bit wider than what they were before, because before I had them tight so that way it mounted in the right spot. So I opened them up so that way when we put the diff in, it's a little bit easier, hopefully. The only thing I can think of right now we might have an issue with is this being so tight to the casing. And that being said is because when we powder coat it, it's going to add a little bit of a layer. So we might have to push it up there. But when we do that, it'll be on a stand and we'll be dropping the car down. So it's going to be way easier than me trying to lift it up on the bench like this from back here and getting it to slide in. But other than that, pretty much all done. Now that this is done, we're waiting for our axles and a few other things. And once we have those, then we'll work on putting everything into the car and making sure everything's going to work out well. And so once we're done here, I don't think there's going to be much until a bunch of that stuff shows up. So this is probably the end of our Winners quick change differential in a Cobra IRS. Such an easy project, right? Didn't take me 2 weeks or anything. But yeah, there it is. That's the finished product that we have. And the only other thing I might consider is building some bracing underneath the diff as well, because it was kind of brought to my attention that if something does break in the rear, you want to protect the underneath, because this is going to be the first thing that hits back there. So I might incorporate it and make it a brace into the control arms. I don't know how low I can go, so that might be kind of a wait and put it in the car with the suspension and everything in, and have my ride height so I can see how close I need to tuck it here. But it could be something super simple, so we will see how I do that. I'm going to work on building this jig completely and actually having all the mounting points for these plates. I have all these plates made in templates so I can get them laser cut out, and basically make a cut and paste jig so I can bring in another subframe, cut the few things I know I need to cut right away, build the bar, get the plates cut out, laser cut out, and have another subframe. I got another subframe, so I'm going to be doing it again, and that'll be kind of my test run to see how well my jig works. So yeah, if you're looking to get a winner's quick change, might be able to do it for you. All right, thanks for watching. Peace.
3, 2, 1.